We see depression, we see anxiety. This is a karmic cycle, or do you think it is something unconsciously they're inviting into their life?
Absolutely yes. But it's also, like I said, it comes down to them not learning their lessons. In your fourth standard, you have not learned plus and minus. So
Yeah.
fifth standard will be a struggle. So it all depends on what you're carrying from past life, what gifts you're carrying, what lessons you're carrying. One of the reasons why they attract toxic partners is because there could be something unhealed from some past life that they're here to heal. So the toxic partner will keep hurting you till the time you don't make that part of yourself strong. One really needs to be very clear about intentions. The bottom of karma is your intention. If your intention is right, everything falls into place.
Do you believe forgiveness breaks karmic cycles?
Yes, because it releases and helps you lift your vibrational frequency. Gratitude has a different vibrational frequency. Forgiveness has a different vibrational frequency. When your vibrational frequency increases, there's a shift in perspective. So that's what creates miracles.
Dr. Tamanna C is a karmic healer, therapist, and best-selling author whose work blends ancient spiritual wisdom with contemporary emotional healing. Through her workshops and one-on-one sessions, she helps people untangle emotional patterns and reconnect with their higher selves through mindful, practical healing rooted in everyday life.
So tell us, how does karmic cycle manifest in the human life?
So let me give you an example, Ashna. When we go to school, right, we have so many subjects to learn. We have about 7 to 8 subjects to learn. And there is a timetable made that in the morning we'll start the day with PT, and then we'll go down to, say, a math or a science, and then there's a break, and there's English, literature, history. So there's a timetable, and that timetable has been prepared keeping a certain aspect in mind. Now, suppose if there's a PT period, it will never happen immediately after lunch because kids will not be able to do it, right?
Correct.
So everything is planned according to time. Similarly, when we chart our karmic chart, in that karmic chart, we have different cycles. We have to go through our health cycles, our career cycle, our education cycle, family, love, social, spiritual, etc.
Relationships.
Relationship cycles. So all of these become the subjects and they are planned according to a certain timeline. So for example, if a child has to, or rather a soul has to, their journey on earth is to educate themselves, okay? They will have a great education cycle. But then they will also have a late marriage cycle.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
while other people are getting married at the age of 20 to 23, they might get married at the age of 30 to 33. Or say in one past life, a soul has been oppressed or suppressed and has never been independent, has never enjoyed financial freedom. And they chart that in this lifetime, I want to enjoy financial independence. I want to be financially stable. Then their career chart might start at the age of 16, 17. And they may not really have an education chart because they'll start making money a lot earlier and they'll be like, I don't need to study. Or say in one lifetime, a soul has only made a lot of money or worked. And in this lifetime, they choose that in this lifetime, I don't want to work. I don't want to make money. I'm happy getting married early and living off someone else taking care of me. They will be the ones getting married earlier on in life and enjoying financial freedom either from husband, wife, in-laws, etc., etc. So keeping our soul theme in mind as to why we are coming on earth, what we need to fulfill, what we need to learn, what we need to balance, what we need to release, there is a timeline charted. Because in the 3D world that we live in, which is the earth dimension, time controls everything.
It does, yeah.
So, and that's what even astrology does, right? Astrology talks about the impact of planets in timelines. In the karmic level, we talk about what lessons you need to learn at what timelines. And that's the role that karma plays in the 3D world or timelines, that everything that's happening is happening according to what your soul has charted and in timelines. So for example, a soul in some lifetime has led a very difficult life or has done a lot of seva, but has never received seva. In this lifetime, they could also take birth as a disabled or a sick child or a sick early on, so that they receive seva from
They're
family.
taken care of.
They're taken care of. So that's how you balance and release karma. So it's a very individual choice that the soul makes, and everything is very individual, everything is very relative, because no soul has the same timelines on earth.
Yeah, just
So-
like no two people have the same journeys
Yes.
in life. So I guess it's coming from somewhere.
Absolutely. And even like, for example, some soul has never had a good childhood. They may just incarnate to enjoy a good, happy, joyful childhood and choose to pass on at an early age, because that was all that they charted for, that I'm only here. I don't want to move into adulthood. In some lifetime, I've had a horrible childhood. So in this lifetime, I want to have a happy childhood. I want to have a joyful childhood. And that's how I will balance my previous karmas. And that's why so many young deaths also happen.
Wow, I've never seen it like that, because it's so difficult, to be that reasonable and say that person only came for this amount of time to complete this or to experience this, because we're so emotionally attached, or we get so emotionally moved when we hear of a 12-year-old passing away or a 16-year-old passing away. Like, they had their whole life ahead of them. How could this happen? We kind of think like it's unfair.
Yeah.
When did you realize, or when did you become certain of the fact that we do have more than one life? Because mythology says we have hundreds of lives, and our religion says we have millions of lives. But I still find it kind of hard to be certain of the fact that we do have more than one life. I kind of feel like we come once, we do what we need to do, and it depends how you take your journey, what you make of it, despite the difficulties, and achieve what you are able to achieve or not. What makes you so certain, or when did you realize that for sure we have many?
So for me, my journey started at the age of 9, when from the age of 9, I was always into spirituality. I was introduced to Osho books by the time I was 9, 10. I read a very intense book called The Laws of Spirit World when I was 9. And at that point, my mom was doing Reiki. She was learning her first degree Reiki. So at that point, when her master saw me, and I would question him on little things, and he
Yeah.
would see the kind of books I would read. So he actually asked my mom that she's carrying something, because at the age of 9, for her to talk this way, for her to have this kind of, for her to comprehend these kind of books and comprehend these kind of knowledge, it's very rare.
Yeah.
So that's when he did my past life regression. And that's when he told my mom that she's carrying certain gifts from her past life, which needs to be tapped into. So for me, journey into past life started very, very early on. And of course, there is life after death, because again, because my journey started early, I could tap into my clairaudience and my clairvoyant gift. I could tap into the mediumship. I could see souls and spirits. And I realized that, okay, there is more than this, right? So if I have to explain it in a very simple language, Ashna, we keep changing our mobile phones, right?
Yeah.
But the SIM card or the number that we're using is what we have last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Correct.
Our soul is the SIM card, and our body is the mobile instrument. We keep updating it. So our identity, the identity of Tamanna or identity of Ashna, is one. In my past life, I may have not been this person. In your past life, you may have not been this person. And neither will be the same in another lifetime. We'll
Correct.
have a different identity altogether, a different soul journey altogether. But the SIM card has been used for years, right? Just because you're changing the mobile phone does not mean you're also going to change the SIM card. So SIM card is like the soul energy.
How interesting. It's a very different way of looking at it, and very intriguing for me to go back and reflect on that. Tell me, we see depression, we see anxiety, we see people very upset with instances in their life. Do you think this is a karmic cycle, or do you think it is something unconsciously they're inviting into their life?
So I cannot answer that in a very linear way or a black and white way, because it's so layered, right? Now, if I'm talking in the layman's, Depression can be biological, where there could be chemical imbalance in the body. It could be hormonal imbalance in the body. We hear about postpartum depression. We hear about PMSing, where every month women start feeling anxiety or they feel that they're going through depression, but they're technically not, but it's just the hormones. It could also be because of the dopamine, serotonin. Sometimes people do have a biological disorder where their adrenal gland or their hormonal gland cannot produce the kind of chemicals that they need to lead a balanced life.
Yeah, it's not well regulated.
It's not well regulated. Sometimes it can also be certain illnesses like diabetes that can cause depression or anxiety because of, immense
Imbalance, yeah.
imbalance. So in that case, depression and anxiety can be controlled with medicines. Now, depression and anxiety can also be psychological or spiritual, on a spiritual level. In a spiritual language, depression is something that when the reality doesn't match your internal expectation, a person can feel depressed. And they will continue to feel depressed till the time they don't accept it. If they're constantly resisting something that's happening in their life, that's when anxiety happens. Anxiety happens because a person feels that they don't have control over situations. That's when they get anxious, right?
Correct.
Depression happens when nothing is going as per planned, nothing is going as per expectation. So anyone who has extreme expectations, but they do not have the ability to adapt to reality can feel depressed. And that's when the emotional depression happens. And you can break through the pattern of emotional depression by just accepting that, okay, this is the reality. It's not what was in my head, but this is what it is, and I need to do something about it.
I'll give you an example. Let's say I join a new job, right? And I obviously expect that I'm joining a new job and I'm going to have good colleagues and I'm going to be, 9 to 5 busy and I'm going to be in this new office. I'm going to meet new people and all these other things that I may have created in my head. Now I go for my job and the first day, let's say nobody speaks to me.
Yeah.
Second day, I'm made fun of. Third day, office pranks start. Could be anything, right? So the fourth day, I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, it's nothing what I expected it to be. I'm not saying I'll get depressed on the fifth day, but it can start leading to
It'll
me.
spiral down.
Yeah, it'll spiral downwards, and I'll probably be like, oh my God, I have to go to office, and that anxiety will start first thing in the morning.
Yes.
Because when you wake up, you're not happy or you're not looking forward to what's coming next.
Correct.
Eventually, let's say 3 months down, things get worse, things get bad, and I get depressed. Now, would you say that's karmic?
That is out of choice of free will because you are not learning acceptance. Because again, a career path or a job scenario is there for us to work so that we can pay our bills, so that we can make money.
Yeah.
It's not a place where you make friends. It's not a place where you seek approval or a place where you're supposed to be liked.
And
But it's
loved.
your expectation that you're a people pleaser. You want people to validate you, like you, hang out with you. Social cycle is very different. Your social space is people who are there with you emotionally, people that you meet outside your career space, people that you meet outside your family space. That's a social space. Don't look for friends in your career environment. Your only payback at work should be the check that you're getting because a career path is given to us so that we become financially independent, so that we can sustain our life on earth.
So if this was the scenario and I'm changing it
Yeah.
just to understand the difference between psychological problem or the karmic problem, and let's say I'll change this scenario to a girl who gets married
Yeah.
and she comes into a family. Let's say she's Gujarati and gets married to a Marathi family, and then the culture is completely different. Everyone addresses her differently, and everyone has different expectations of her to fulfill. And within 3 or 4 months, she feels like this is just the wrong choice, and she's depressed. She's not loved the way her love language is different.
Sure.
Her communication skills are different to what is expected of her, what she's receiving. So, what would you call that then?
Again, that is a karmic lesson. Karmic lesson in this scenario, if she was my client and she came to me with this situation, I would tell her that, listen, you need to be more realistic in your expectations, number one. Number two is you have a choice to walk out. But you cannot always choose that choice because the guy could be really nice, right? And things are different, not difficult. We as people take difficult things, or rather different things, to be difficult.
Correct.
But people don't know that different is a different thing and difficult is very different. So in a situation like that, just because things are different, they're not always difficult.
Correct.
You just need to change your mindset. Acceptance comes in, setting boundaries come in. Stop being an overgiver, be open to receiving. So while you're giving to the family, also ask for help, also ask for what you need. Be more vocal about your emotional needs or be assertive. Again, people take assertiveness to be aggression.
Correct.
And that's where imbalance happens. So again, every individual, Ashna, has lessons to learn. There are 44 karmic lessons. And of course, every soul does not have to learn all 44 karmic lessons in one lifetime. It could be a combination of 8 to 15 lessons on an average. Until the time we don't learn these lessons, you will keep going through repeated patterns. So she could easily walk out of this marriage, but maybe the next guy or the next family she gets into, it could be from the same caste, same religion, but there might be some other issues who are going to teach her the same lesson. So depression is basically the reality being different from your expectations. And let's be honest, our mental expectations keep changing. They are fueled by so many different factors, right? So for example, you expect that you want to date a rich guy. And you date a rich guy and you realize that he's fit for nothing or he's not loyal. Then your expectation will be, oh, I want to date a loyal guy. And then you may find a guy who's super loyal, but is not ambitious.
Or is boring.
Is boring, who can't stand up for himself in front of the family. Then again, you'll be disappointed. Then you will want something else.
Yeah.
You'll want a guy who's an alpha male. And then the complaint will be, oh, he's too aggressive, he's too controlling, he's too possessive, you know.
I don't get space.
I don't get space. So your expectations are triggered or fueled by your personal experiences.
Correct.
What your parents have told you should be doing, society belief systems, your immediate environment, so on and so forth. So again, the minute you accept that this is what it is, and let's be honest, it's easy to control our expectations or be realistic about our expectations than to change 8 billion people around in the world.
That is so beautiful. You know what you said? It really struck me that our expectations keep changing by our environment and what we are taught. I'll give you an example. When I was at university and I studied with mostly white kids, and I probably had in a class of 70 one more Indian kid, and it was just me. So my environment was, you know, very Caucasian. And their thought process is that after you're 18, your parents are not invested in you. Whereas our thought process is our parents are invested till we die.
Correct.
You know, or till they move on. So I remember me being upset if I didn't speak to my parents, and they spoke to their parents once in a month or once in 15. And they were like, you're at university, why do your parents call you? So you're right, that expectation is based on conditioning.
Correct.
And I think that conditioning changes everything.
Correct.
And that can lead to depression because the conditioning has made your expectations so haywire that, you know, you've lost track of reality, like you said. Amazing. That's so beautiful. So tell me, do you believe certain souls have more emotional struggles because of unresolved karmas from their previous lives?
Absolutely, yes. But it's also, like I said, it comes down to them not learning their lessons. So, for example, in your 4th standard, you have not learned plus and minus. And in 5th standard, you have the syllabus of multiplication, subtraction, division, etc. You'll also have to learn what you've missed learning in 4th standard, right? So 5th standard will be a struggle. Versus if you've learned your formulas in 4th standard, then 5th standard is not going to be a struggle.
Correct.
So it all depends on what you're carrying from past life, what gifts you're carrying, what lessons you're carrying. Some people, forgiveness comes to them very easily. Some people, kindness comes to them very easily. Some people struggle with forgiveness. For some people, standing up for themselves come very easily. For some people, it doesn't come easily. So say in your past life, you had to learn, say, 10 lessons and you've learned 6. In this lifetime, you'll carry forward those balanced 4 lessons you haven't learned, plus additional lessons of this lifetime, right?
Wow.
So.
But you know what you said about forgiveness, like you said, some people it comes very easily and to some people it doesn't. My observation has been that there are 2 types of forgiveness. One is let's say Tamanna hurt Ashna, and I'm just thinking, you know what, I don't care, it's fine.
Yeah.
I forget about it. I'm gonna forgive her. It doesn't matter, because in my head somewhere I want to be indifferent to you, or I feel you're not important enough.
Correct.
And then there are some people who will forgive because they truly understand that what you have done is a you thing and it's not me.
True.
So, for example, you walked in, you were rude to me, you sat down, you said the coffee's cold, you complain. I can, be angry that how is she behaving? And then I can forgive by saying, you know what, how does it matter? She's here for 2 hours, I have to deal with her. Or I can forgive saying, maybe she had a bad start to the day, maybe reasoning it out in my head, right? So there are two types of forgivenesses. Now, I don't know how they're related to karmic cycles, but I have come to believe is mostly what life has taught them.
So again, every karmic lesson, I keep going back to that because that's the root of everything. Every karmic lesson, Ashna, needs to be learned on 4 different levels. Physical level. Physical level is where people say, oh, I forgive you, but still hold on to that situation mentally.
Correct.
Mental forgiveness is where you've completely forgotten the situation and you've made peace with it, that this is what it is, and out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing. And that's where forgetting comes. A lot of people think, oh, I've forgotten about this, but emotionally, if they've not forgiven, there's always going to be a trigger.
Some traces there.
Some trace is going to be there.
Yeah.
So you also need to learn to forgive emotionally. And then comes the spiritual forgiveness, where that's where the space of kindness, empathy, compassion comes in, where you realize that, you know what, she's just a human being. She must have had a bad day. It's okay. This is not me. So that spiritual forgiveness, reaching that realm of spiritual forgiveness is also very difficult. Now, maybe in some lifetime, you've learned physical and mental forgiveness. And in this lifetime, you have to learn emotional forgiveness and spiritual forgiveness. So till the time you don't learn each lesson, so 44 lessons into 4 different realms, that's the combination of how these lessons work, number 1. Number 2 is, even when we talk about the spiritual forgiveness, right? Here, it also includes not only kindness and compassion towards the other person, but also self-reflection and self-growth. Because what happens is, I might say the coffee is bad or whatever, X, Y, Z, if I've thrown a tantrum. Suppose the coffee is bad or cold or whatever it is. And you say, okay, Tamanna, let me show kindness and compassion, like I've forgiven you. What happens is there may not be any self-accountability.
For who?
For you.
Right.
Where maybe the coffee was really bad, or maybe next time if I'm having a guest over, let me ask them what's their choice of coffee. Do they want a single shot in their cappuccino? Do they want a double shot in the cappuccino? Also, ordering the coffee when they are just about to arrive rather than ordering the coffee and keeping it for an hour and then it goes cold. Or even if the coffee has arrived, but the AC temperature is too cold in the room, the coffee will get cold.
Correct.
So spiritual and emotional forgiveness also demands you reflect on where you have gone wrong and why is the other person complaining.
Or it's led to that situation.
It's led to that situation, because what happens is we forgive people, but sometimes maybe we are also somewhere doing them wrong.
Or we've led the situation there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Many a times I see clients where it's very easy for them, if someone triggers them, they'll call the other person narcissist, toxic. Oh, my in-laws are toxic, or my parents are toxic, or my first husband, my first partner was toxic, my second partner was also toxic. And I'm like, okay, but then why are you attracting it? There are 8 billion people in the world, but why are you attracting these 15 toxic people in the world?
And you're also always in the center of all the toxic people.
Correct. So what are you triggering in them for them to behave this way with you? So somewhere, you can't just blame it on the other person, right? Because karma is all about your growth. Yeah. It's not about how much people are growing around you. Karma is about how you are growing, how you are learning your karmic lessons, irrespective of how other people are behaving.
Yeah, that is, I think, for me, the most important thing that I have learned in the last few years, being on this path, that in the end, it's about what have I learned and how have I grown. Yeah. Anyone can be however, be it family, friends, colleagues, people you meet on the plane, could be anybody. Yeah. But in the end, it's like you're gonna in the end be answerable for what have you done.
True.
And I think, yeah, that's the most important lesson. And if everyone actually starts focusing on that, we're going to have a different world altogether.
True, but here that line is coming to me where there's a very simple line, but if you spot it, you got it. Which means if something is triggering you, which means there's something within you that needs to be changed. So that's how it is.
So why do people keep attracting, let's say, toxic partners or painful relationships one after another? Do you think that's also karma at play?
Again, it can be very layered. One of the reasons why they attract toxic partners is because there could be something unhealed from some past life that they're here to heal. So the toxic partner will keep hurting you till the time you don't make that a part of yourself strong and bring it in harmony, balance. That's number one. Number two is sometimes you attract people who are there to teach you a lesson, but because of your attachment with them, you prolong the relationship.
Correct.
Because every karmic relationship, be it friendship, be it even business or work, or it could also be romantic partners where they expire. They all have timelines, right? Even the spouse that you meet them at a certain point in time. They were not with you from the time you were born to the time you die. Even your parents, they may be with you from the time you were born, but they may not be with you till the time you die. Even with children, they are born. So every karmic relationship comes with an expiry. But because of our attachment, because of our emotional addiction to what they bring on the table, we tend to prolong that relationship where karmically it's ended, but you're still going
Holding on
on
to
and
it.
on. And in that situation, Ashna, the universe will bring in situations to break it. And you may not realize that it's a power that's trying to break it, but you will easily blame it on the other person, that the person is toxic.
Correct.
So that's another layer to it. The third layer is you've gotten into a relationship with someone with whom you do not have a karmic connection. Today, just because you're meeting 100 people at a party and talking to 50 people at a party, and not necessarily you have a karmic connection, or they are going to play a karmic role in your life, or you're supposed to be a part of their life. You may, out of those 50 people, only have a karmic connection with 2. But if you get attached to 10 people, you are basically attaching yourself to unnecessary energies, and then you keep expecting. And then again, when your expectations, there will be disappointment. Everyone says that we meet people for a reason. Absolutely. But not every person that you meet is for a reason. You have to energetically pick and choose what your soul is resonating with, vibing with. And that's a mistake I think people make. People base their relationships on compatibility, on attachment, rather than the vibe of the person.
How do we realize then that it's a karmic relationship and it's not a need that we're fulfilling? Let's say a person has a need of being validated and they only feel validated by a love partner. They're not validated by friends, parents, colleagues. They only find fulfillment or validation from that love partner. And they keep having all these different relationships and they think it's karmic. So then how do they learn that this is not karmic? It is their need for validation that they need to address.
Because what happens is you will attract a partner who will validate you, who will love bomb you, but then also deplete you of something at the same time. So while they're validating you, there will also be control, there will also be suppression, there will also be aggression from the person, and then you'll come back saying that, okay, this person is toxic, this person is aggressive, this person is possessive, this person doesn't give me space. But then you got into a relationship for validation, right? So now you've got the validation. It's like, for example, if you want to eat idli sambar, you will go to a South Indian restaurant. But in a South Indian restaurant, if you ask for a grilled chicken or a pizza or a sushi or katsu curry, you're not going to get that. So you got to be happy with that. You can't throw a tantrum in the restaurant that what kind of a restaurant are you? So one really needs to be very clear about intentions, because your karma, the bottom of karma is your intention. If your intention is right, everything falls into place. If your intention is wrong, and this happens many a times, men want a pretty good-looking woman, educated women, but then at the same time, they may attract that, they may fall for that, but then at the same time, they'll have a problem. They'll feel insecure. They'll feel possessive because she's getting all the attention because of her looks.
Not only that, they feel like she has such a big brain, she doesn't need one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or when she starts working, or when she starts becoming financially independent because of her education, of course, then that becomes a problem. She's too headstrong, or she's too much. And with women, they want a rich, loaded guy, and then when they fall for that, they may get the money and the luxuries of the world, but they may not get loyalty, or they may not have time. The partner may not have time for you because the partner is busy making money, right?
Or they might not get the basic compassion because he doesn't have time for that.
He doesn't have time for that.
Yeah.
So again, it's very important to be very clear of what you want and why you want it. The what and the why defines everything you attract.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I'm a huge believer of intent, and I think intent changes everything.
Of course, yeah.
I have a friend who I remember was like, I'm trying for a baby and it's not happening, and it's been like a year, and she was like, I'm not feeling, good about it and whatever. She was not doing well in her different spaces in life. And I think she kept thinking that of not having that baby or not getting pregnant is spilling over in other aspects, and she's kind of taking that energy everywhere, and she's miserable overall. And I remember asking her that, do you really have the intent of having a baby? Or is it just that your in-laws have told you and your parents have told
Correct.
you and you feel you're a certain age and you should have? So it's like on the surface, you have that belief, I must get pregnant, I should have a baby. But deep down, do you really have the intention?
Yeah.
Because I do really genuinely believe that if your intent is pure and if your intent is really there, it'll happen.
True.
Whatever it may be.
True.
You could be like, I want to make my first trip to America, and that's really your intent, and somehow the universe will play cards to make it work.
And that's also where the law of attraction comes in, or the law of manifestation that everyone's been talking about comes in, is that people keep practicing all of these modalities, and not everyone gets it because somewhere the intent is wrong. So if you want a new car, just because you want to impress your neighbors, just because your neighbors got an expensive car and you want a new car, maybe you may not get it. Or you may get it and you may meet with a car accident and that car will be written off, and then you'll have to go back to a basic car. So the intent is very important because your intent will define your action and your reaction. And that is what the sum totality of karma is.
Amazing. I love that. So, is marriage always karmic?
Yes and no. Marriage, the constitution of marriage is karmic, that you're supposed to be with someone, but whom we get married to can be either karmic or a choice of free will. So again, coming back to what you said a few minutes ago, is there are some people who by the time you're 18, you have to be married, and then they get married, and not necessarily that their marriage will last, or then they'll just be stuck in a toxic, bad marriage for 20 years, sexless marriage for 30 years, XYZ, and they're only in a marriage for the kids. So that marriage is not karmic. So if someone like that came to me saying, oh, is this karma? I said, no, this is a choice of free will, because you were only supposed to meet your ideal partner at the age of 28. But because you gave into pressure and got married at the age of 18, you've got married to the wrong person. And you had a choice. You always have a choice to exit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like GPS. If you've missed a left turn and the GPS says you need to take a left, you always have a choice to take the next left or take a U-turn and
come back.
But if you keep going straight, you will be lost forever. So that's also a very common situation that I see, that this also happens when you're choosing your career path. That people choose a certain career path, say a good-looking woman or a handsome guy will be like, I want to get into modeling, I want to get into acting, and they put in all their efforts and all their years into preparing for that, and then they don't get break for years. Now, is that suffering or failure karma? No, it's a choice that you are supposed to be doing A, but you're choosing to do B. But abundance is when you start choosing A, right? So you will meet your abundance, your karmic abundance, your karmic deservability when you're choosing or walking the right path. If you're getting lost, if you're choosing the wrong path, you will not meet the same abundance. You will get some money, you will get some quality of, some quantity of money, but you won't get the quality of financial stability that you want in that path.
Also the fulfillment that
The
we all are looking
fulfillment.
for.
True.
Because
You can become a good actor and you can be super successful, but then later on you'll go back to doing something that your path is calling out to. And that actually happens in a lot of corporate jobs, right?
Yeah.
People at the age of 45, 50 make all the money and then they realize that, no, I need to take a U-turn and restart somewhere else.
what about people, or, I meet a lot of 35 to 45 single people nowadays. And they assume or they say that, oh, it's probably, not the right time for me. And I'm sure it's written in the stars. And I'm sure when I'm 45, I'll meet somebody. Maybe they've met somebody and didn't.
Correct.
So is that a thing?
Absolutely, because again, when you ask for the universe for something, you also need to be open to receiving it. If you've ordered an Amazon parcel and the guy's ringing the doorbell, but you're like, no, I'm going to sit and watch TV, or you've got your headphones on, the guy will come and go. So similarly, it also depends on how open are you to receive. Now, if you're operating from past fears, past traumas, oh, I don't want to get married, or if someone in the family is going through a bad marriage or a broken marriage or a toxic marriage, and like marriage is such a pain, it's better to be single and enjoy the freedom, you may be karmically destined to be married and you could have met the right partner, but because of your negative belief systems towards the ideology of marriage, you can push that person or push that opportunity away.
Yeah, like you said, conditioning can change how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I see a lot of people nowadays who they say I'm commitment phobic, and they say I haven't met the one, I haven't met the right one. And I don't understand the term the right one anyway, because I don't think there's any right or wrong. I think it's compatibility, or, where two energies meet and where you feel like you said, what are you looking for?
True.
If you're looking to be emotionally fulfilled, if you're looking to be financially fulfilled, if you're looking to your intelligence to be fulfilled, it really depends.
It depends, and also I think the right way, because I know that once our audience is listening to us, like what should be the intent if you want to attract a right partner. It's about emotional fulfillment. Of course, compatibility is also important, but attract someone with whom you can grow old gracefully, attract someone who brings in ease and joy, attract someone who adds to your growth,
Absolutely.
and also someone where you can contribute to their growth. Because again, people are very confused about, okay, we know that we need to have the right intent, but what kind of intent we need to have? So, again, and every person is different, right? You might want a tall guy, you might want a good looking wife, you might want an educated partner, which is all okay. But I think in every relationship, be it friendship, be it a job, or be it when you're attracting a partner, every individual should have their negotiables and non-negotiables.
Correct.
And that is very, very important, which I think people don't understand that list. People have a checklist, which is very random, which is very vague, but people don't have a list of negotiables and non-negotiables.
Also, the accountability part, I think, also comes in here.
Yeah.
I can have a list of I want a guy who looks like Brad Pitt, and then I want him to earn money like, I don't know, Jeff Bezos, and then I can make all that list, but the accountability of who am I, what am I offering, what am I bringing to the table, I think that also people really miss out on.
Absolutely. And that's very important, because what you bring to the table is what also you're going to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can have expectations of the world, but if you're not even offering half of that, then
Yeah.
you're expecting wrong.
True.
Expect what the bucket you can fill,
Yeah.
expect that to be your bucket to be
Again,
fulfilled.
it's realistic, right? You may want a good-looking partner, or you may want a partner who's social and out there,
Yeah.
and who has a good personality. But if you are someone who doesn't like going to the gym, who loves to eat food and put on weight, and you don't take care of yourself, and you don't like socializing, and you don't like to dress up, and you like to be in PJs and t-shirt all day, you may attract a Brad Pitt, but he might leave you for someone better.
Yeah. Or he might not stay at all.
He
Only
might not
because
stay at all.
you're a hermit, you don't even match up where I am in life.
Correct. Or then later on, even for you may not be left, but you might be like, okay, there's no compatibility. He's out all day, he gets attention, maybe he's cheating on me. Then you'll start having trust issues.
Yeah. Also, the thrill of a different vibe lasts not that long. in the end, like you said, you have to be very realistic and your negotiables and non-negotiables very clear.
True.
Like, I'm okay with a social person, but am I really willing to party 6 days a week? Is that really me?
True.
You know, so I think
Yeah.
one has to be very realistic about it. It's very easy to have a wish list.
It's very easy to have a wish list, but also every phase of your life, every age of your life demands a different partner or a different need from yourself also. So you need to attract a partner. Like I said, you are able to grow with that partner at the same pace with ease. So, for example, if you want to have a child and you are a party person and you want a person who's also equally out partying with you, socially compatible. But if your intention of getting married is because I want to have a child, I want to start a family, great. That's a great intention. And you may meet a guy who also wants to start a family and have kids. Settle down, great. But if you, once you get pregnant and once the baby's out, you slow down because you have to take care of the baby. But if your partner is not slowing down and out every night partying and raging like he used to before the baby was born, there is going to be a break. There are going to be issues. There are going to be fights. And that's why I said, attract someone who grows with you at the same pace with ease and grace, which means attracting someone who's able to change with what the life demands, right? So, for example, if I'm to talk about a man, right? A man can be in a stable job and give his wife all the luxuries and comfort of the world. But tomorrow, say he goes through a loss, or business is shut, or he loses his job, but the wife keeps demanding the same kind of luxury and the same kind of
has no
abundance
understanding.
and has no understanding or empathy or compassion or support, the man will start hating the wife, or there will be issues,
Correct.
I won't say hating is too strong a word, but there will be issues. Is your wife growing at the same pace according to the situation and bringing in ease and grace? No. So this is what I meant, these are not just words, these are thought through intent, that you have to have someone, say tomorrow at the age of 60 you fall sick, but your partner is so busy making money and working 22 hours a day and not by your bedside when you're sick, that will create two issues.
So correct me if I'm wrong, out of everything you said, this line came to me. Why don't we manifest or intention be that let me meet someone with the same emotional maturity as me and will moving forward have that kind of same stability and maturity moving forward?
No, because emotions keep changing. Emotions are energy in motion and they keep changing by the minute.
Yeah, but if there's no maturity to handle different situations, like you said, if two people are party people and let's say they get married, they both decide to settle down and slow down. Let's say the wife automatically slows down, but the man decides not to. That's because he's lacking that emotional maturity that now this is a different phase.
So I would just use the word maturity here. Sorry to cut you short. Just the word maturity here. But also I would use the word, I attract someone who spiritually grow with me and spiritually, who's karmically right for me. Now, what do I mean by karmically right or karmically compatible? Let's understand that. Karmically compatible is someone that in this lifetime, I am meant to enjoy a career path or abundant career or success or fame. And I'm meant to enjoy a certain level or degree of a religion belief system or a cultural belief system or abundance or a certain life.
Correct.
Now that varies from soul to soul. Some souls enjoy a 9 to 10 abundant life. Some souls enjoy a 2 to 10 abundant life. And that's all karmic, that's all pre-charted. When you attract someone who aligns with that, it means you are getting what you're deserving karmically. In our choices of free will, what happens is we get attracted to someone who could be good looking or XYZ, but they may just offer you a 3 on 10. And then you may come back saying, oh, is that my karma to suffer? No. The universe wants you to have 8 on 10 because that's your destiny, not your destiny, but your karmic soul plan. That's your blueprint. But because you have chosen to be with this person because he approves of you, because he's good looking, because he's rich, you are somewhere compromising on what the universe wants to give to you. So I always say that attract someone who will bring to you the karmic deservability of what your soul is here to experience in every possible way. It could be cultural belief systems, it could be spiritual belief systems, it could be financial expectations or emotional compatibility, because your karma includes everything,
It
right?
does,
It
right.
includes all timelines. It includes all factors of your health, career, finance, social, spiritual growth, emotional growth. So that's why using the term someone who's good for my karmic chart or who's meant for my karmic highest good, attract that person.
Wow. I hope people listening can learn from that.
Yeah.
So karma is often seen as a punishment or a reward.
Yeah.
So, something bad happens, you're like, probably was my karma. You just
Yeah.
like brush it off, like it
Yeah.
happened. You get a reward and somebody congratulates you, like, probably was meant to be. I was
Yeah.
meant to get this award. You undermine yourself. I didn't really deserve it. How do you explain the human side of karma beyond fear and judgment?
So karma is actually not a punishment, nor it's a reward. It's a reflection or it's a reality check of your own energy. And this is something like you said, if something bad happens, people will blame it on karma or black magic or whatever. But when they're making tons of money, when they're successful, when they bought a new car, when they bought a new house, they will take all the credit. It's also karma because karmically you're meant to enjoy that abundance. So karma is basically nothing but a reality check or reflection, be it good, bad, ugly, of what energies you are portraying. If you're working hard, you will get the positives. But at the same time, if you are seeking approval, if you are codepending on the other person too much, if you're too attached, you will also attract the negatives. So every time if there's a discomfort in your life, if there's a trigger in your life, it's easy to blame it on the other person. But if it's triggering you, which means something in that space of your life needs healing. So let me give you an example,
Yeah.
Ashna. Say you've gone for a holiday and you've had a fall or you've had a bruise or there's an airline fracture that you're not aware of and you continued partying, holiday, XYZ, and you come back and you go to the gym and then you realize that
Not able to
you
function
can't
normally.
function. Or say if I come and give you a pat on your hand and you're like, ouch, Tamanna, what are you doing? That hurts. I'm like, I just gave you a pat, which I normally would otherwise. But if it's hurting you, which means there's something unhealed and you need to either go to a doctor, need to go get it diagnosed. Is it an airline fracture? Is it a ligament tear? Is it a bruise? And till the time you don't heal that, anyone who even touches that part of your body,
trigger.
there's going to be a trigger, there's going to be a reaction. You will blame the other person, but no, there is a imbalance or a defect, not a defect per se, wrong word, but there is something that needs to be healed.
Yeah,
And
an unhealed wound.
it's a wound. And till the time you don't heal it, it will keep aching and paining.
Correct.
And that's what the soul's journey is, that over a period of so many lifetimes, we've had so many wounds, so many unhealed traumas, so many triggers are basically an awareness point where it shifts your attention to your wound.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if anything is triggering you outside, it's a reflection of what karmically you need to heal within. And that's when the moksha or enlightenment happens, right? The soul's purpose is to go back whole and complete without any wounds, without any pain points. And that's what enlightenment or moksha is.
So, do you think you've reached that point in life where you have that kind of forgiveness and understanding that whatever may be triggering you or whatever understanding you have of the other person's situation is kind of personal or teaching you something or teaching them something, that nothing affects you personally anymore?
Yes and no. Sometimes, so again, I've learned a lot of lessons because of my experiences in this lifetime. I won't say past life experiences. I've also gone through difficult situations professionally, personally, socially in this lifetime. And each person has taught me a different lesson. It's just that I kind of have awareness that, okay, what do I need to learn? Where do I need to set a boundary here? Or do I need to forgive and accept the person back in my life? Or this was a choice because I made out of free will. So that awareness is there, which helps me process the lesson faster.
Correct.
But I still have my lessons. I still have my journey. And also what happens is, it's not that I don't get triggered. I do feel low, I do have my emotional downs, but I question myself, why am I getting triggered? And then I know what lesson to apply. Do I need to apply the lesson of cutting this person off and setting boundaries? Or do I need to apply the lesson of being more assertive and still having the person, because you can't keep cutting people off, right? Just because you're learning lessons or setting boundaries. So again, setting boundaries, since we are talking about, people have this image or definition that setting boundaries means cutting off from the person.
Yeah.
Boundaries are not about pushing people away or blaming people or confronting people. Boundaries are about you expecting or you regulating your emotional expectations from that person. So for me, I regulate that with the people in my life. If something triggers me and things do, I process it a lot faster. But yes, I do get triggered. I do
Great.
feel
You're as
angry.
human as us
I
then.
am very human and as normal as anyone can get.
Yeah, because I think that's a great way of putting it, that your understanding probably helps you process it faster. Your understanding makes you see it differently to probably a layman, where they will play the victim mode for a longer time. You probably won't have that.
I
You
don't
will-
have a victim
exactly
bone in my body.
That's
And
what I'm
I
saying.
mean, I've had reasons to get victimized and play the victim card, but I've never had a victim bone in
Yeah,
my
that's
body.
what I'm saying. I think the problem is also being the victim, right?
Yeah.
Playing the victim card over and over and over again. And it becomes almost second nature to people. So
That becomes your energy.
yeah.
And then what happens, Ashna, is to self-validate that energy, you will keep attracting people and situations who will keep making you the victim. So for example, if you're consuming coffee, every time you come to my house, what am I going to offer you? Coffee. I'm not going to offer you something else, because
Yeah.
in my head, she consumes coffee, so let me give her more coffee. But deep inside, you may hate coffee. It could be causing acidity. It could give you, XYZ. So you may hate coffee, but because you're consuming it, the universe is going to give you more and more of that.
I've seen a lot of the victim mindset in the Indian upbringing,
Yeah.
because it's very easy to say the grandparents did it, not that's why.
Correct.
The grandparents fed the child is overweight.
Correct.
The teachers are not nice to her, she comes back upset from school.
Yeah.
The families kind of help you go into the cycle of victim mode.
Yeah.
You're a victim, doesn't matter, it's not your fault.
Correct.
All this is happening to you.
Yeah.
And they themselves believe that all this is happening to me, then they make the child believe everything is happening to you. So no accountability there to themselves or to the child, and I think it's a cycle that keeps getting repeated.
True, but then someone has to break through, especially when it's coming down from the generations of family.
Exactly.
Someone has to break through the family, not curse per se, but the trauma. And that's where, because if you don't break it, you are going to put your child into the same environment, into the same belief system, because we can only pass on what we get, right? So again, if you are not going to break it, your child will carry it. And if your child doesn't break it, their child will carry that.
That's what I'm saying. I think that victim mindset is, I think, very, very toxic.
Because again, they don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah, no accountability there. So lastly, tell me, do you believe forgiveness breaks karmic cycles?
Yes, because it releases and helps you lift your vibrational frequency. Every karmic lesson, as you learn, Ashna, your vibration frequency increases in different ways. Gratitude has a different vibrational frequency. Forgiveness has a different vibrational frequency. Being a more balanced person in your life has a different vibrational frequency. And what happens is, when your vibrational frequency increases, there's more awareness, there's a different perspective. There's a shift in perspective.
There is.
So that's what creates miracles.
And it actually does break karmic cycles, in the sense that I feel, and I felt this myself, how I've spent my life, let's say, from 25 to 35, there was a huge shift in my life due to a lot of things that happened with me, to me, from 35 to now. And I feel when that change happens, like you said, the vibration changes, karmic cycles get cut because of change, because you actually land up moving away from a lot of people that were in your inner circle or in your periphery, and then because your vibration changed, you kind of start associating with different vibrations
That's
altogether.
absolutely, that's so true.
So do collective karmas exist, like family karmas, community karmas, or even nation karma cycles together that we can't get rid of?
Absolutely, because while we're an individual, we're also universal, right? So everything that we choose certain things based on the natural environment. And even families, you have generational traumas that we have to break through. It could be physical ailment, it could be poverty mindset, it could be a relationship pattern, multiple divorces, late marriages, not having a child. So there could be a lot of generational traumas or curses or energetic commonalities
Being passed on.
being passed on. But you can't just say that, oh, this is a generational trauma, so let me live with it. If it comes to awareness, you're there to break it. So yes, family traumas exist, community traumas exist, the caste system and different cultural communities, they
Correct.
have a commonality of, it could be anything. It could be creativity, it could be art, it could be music, people like those coming together. Like, for example, West Bengal, it's filled with creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbeatable and it's a creative energy field.
Yeah.
Whereas somewhere in South India, it's all about grounding energies, right? People are so humble, so grounded, so kind.
Correct.
With Mumbai energies, like the community energy or city energy, it's driven, it's always on an overdrive, it's super ambitious, it's abundance,
It's
wealth,
vibrant. Yeah.
it's super vibrant. So that's the community energy. And then, of course, you do have countries like, for example, India. The energetic imprint of India or what they've been through is separation, colonization, exploitation, poverty, exploitation. But also at the same time, through that, they have built, India as a community or as a country has built resilience, has built strength, it's built a very strong spiritual roots. It's helped us take us back to our spiritual roots, our cultural history. So every country goes through a energetic karmic cycle, but also something better comes out of it.
Amazing. So lastly, I want to ask you a question. If you could give every soul just one karmic reminder to carry with them, what would it be?
So everyone is here on their journey. Just because you love people, just because you're attached to them, does not mean they have to be perfect, does not mean they've learned all their karmic lessons. How you are learning your karmic lessons, how you're struggling with your trigger points, so are other people. To cut them slack and to also cut yourself some slack.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Tamanna. It was an absolute pleasure having you
Thank
today.
you, Ashna.
And I've learned so much from you, and the energy is absolutely great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.